elections, security concerns, and the Ebola crisis. Africa has her hands full as the continent marches into 2015. My colleague, Paul Sisco, has more on the story.
In this year's Foresight Africa report, scholars at the Brookings Institution examined the top issues facing Africa in 2015. The elections in Nigeria, the continent's most populous country and strongest economy, and in at least 12 other countries, suggest major leadership and governance challenges, change, and possibly turmoil. Mwengi Kameni is a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution.
Nigeria is a big one. It's the big election that is coming up. But if you look at what's going on, there's still a big spread between the North and South. So what we have is a move in terms of democracy, in terms of elections, but divisions seem to still increase. And that's happening in many parts of Africa. So it's, in a way, it's worrisome.
Multiple elections create conditions for electoral violence and hurdles on the continent's established democratic path. The study finds that civil violence has decreased, but security challenges are still prevalent.
If you think about conflict, they are fewer and actually in shorter duration. However, if you think about terrorism, this is becoming to be a very serious issue. And so the security issue that Africa is facing now is quite different from security issues that you used to face before, when you had the civil wars. So think about Al-Shabaab, but more importantly, think about Boko Haram. This is a big problem. And I don't think the world has covered this problem as we would have liked to see.
Often critical of leadership at the African Union, Mr. Kameni says a long-talked-about African Union standby military force may finally become reality in 2015. The Foresight Africa report praises the Obama administration for the African Leaders Summit held last August in Washington, the Power Africa Initiative, and America's assistance with the Ebola epidemic.
Africa is doing better, but we're not there yet.
Amadou Sai, a senior fellow at Brookings, says more help is needed.
The relative share of aid has gone down, and the relative share of private sector money has gone up, and the relative share of remittances from non-resident Africans living abroad is also going up. But these aggregate figures mask disparities because some countries are still very dependent on aid. For example, the fragile countries, and you've seen with the example of Ebola, the Ebola crisis, that aid is still needed in some particular cases. But I think there is a rethinking of the role of aid and to see how aid can be used as a catalyst to help bring more private sector money, for example, in the Power Africa initiative.
The report also says that achieving sustainable development requires more funding and better use of those funds by Africa's leaders in 2015 and beyond. Paul Sisco, VOA News.